Good morning, senior infants. I hope you're all doing great today. Now today for maths, we're starting a brand new topic. I want you to have a look at what I have here. Can anybody tell me what this is called? That's right. This is what we call a clock. And does anybody know what we use a clock for? We use the clock to help us to tell the time. And we need to know the time to let us know when different events are happening during the day. For example, we start school at 9 o'clock, we have break at 11 o'clock, we have lunch at 1 o'clock, and we go home at 2 o'clock. Isn't that right, senior infants? Now, before we learn to tell the time, I want us to have a look at the parts of the clock. Now, if you have a look here at the shape of the clock, it's shaped like one of the 2D shapes we did earlier in the year. Can anyone remember what it's called? That's right, senior infants. It's shaped just like the circle. And just like the circle, we call this flat surface here the face of the clock. Now you'll also notice these two arrows here. Now we call these arrows the hands of the clock. Now do they look like these hands I have here? No, they don't. But we call them the hands of the clock because they point to what time it is, okay? Now, if you have a look at the two hands here, you'll notice that this one here is longer and this one here is shorter. Now the longer hand here, we also call it the minute hand because it tells us the minutes during the day. And the shorter hand here, we also call it the hour hand because it tells us what hour it is during the day. Now all of these numbers on the clock from 1 to 12, they're the hours of the day. So count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, during the day, each of the hands turn around the clock, and we call this clockwise. They all go in the same direction. Now, when our minute hand is pointing to 12 o'clock, and our hour hand is pointing to one of the hours on the clock, we call this o'clock. For example, our longer hand is pointing to the 12 and our shorter hand is pointing to the 1. So we call this 1 o'clock. Does that make sense? Now, another hour passes. And our hour hand moves to 2. Could anyone tell me what time it is now? That's right, it's 2 o'clock. Now the hour hand moves again. Our minute hand is pointing to 12 and our hour hand is pointing to 3. So what time is it? It's 3 o'clock, you're right. Now again, our minute hand moves all the way around the clock clockwise. And our hour hand moves to 4. Can anyone tell me what time that is? That's right, it's 4 o'clock. Now, the minute hand turns all the way around again. And our hour hand moves to 5. What time is it now? It's 5 o'clock. Excellent, senior infants. Now the hand moves again, all the way back to 12. And our hour hand moves to 6. What time is it now? It's 6 o'clock. Excellent. Our minute hand moves around the clock again. And our hour hand will point to 7. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Excellent. Our hour hand moves around again. Same with our minute hand. Our minute hand points to 12. Our hour hand is now pointing to 8. What time is it? 8 o'clock. Excellent, senior infants. Now our minute hand goes all the way around the clock again, back up to 12, and our hour hand will now move to 9. What time is it, anyone? It's 9 o'clock. Excellent. Our minute hand moves all the way around again, back up to 12, and now our hour hand will be at 10. What time is it now, senior infants? That's right, it's 10 o'clock. And another hour passes and the minute hand goes all the way back to the 12. And now our hour hand is at 11. What time is it now, senior infants? That's right, it's 11 o'clock. Excellent. Now one last time, all the way around and back to 12. And now our hour hand also points to 12. So what time do you think it is now? That's right, it's 12 o'clock. And once we reach 12 o'clock, it starts all the way over again. So we move from 12 o'clock back to 1 o'clock. Okay, senior infants? Now, all of this can be a little hard to remember, okay? So we're going to learn a little rhyme to help us. So it goes like this. When the long hand points to 12, we say o'clock, say o'clock. Say o'clock. When the long hand points to 12, we say o'clock all day long. Now, if you sing that song to yourselves, you will know that every time our long hand points to 12, you're going to look at the hour and say o'clock. Now, will we say it together again? When the long hand points to 12, we say o'clock, say o'clock. Say o'clock. When the long hand points to 12, we say o'clock all day long. Great job, senior infants. Now, I want you to all go and grab your little clocks that you have in your maths wallets, and we're going to practice this together, okay? So I want you to pause the lesson and come back when you have your clock, okay? Now, I want you to have a look at your own little clock. Can you tell me which one is the long hand or our minute hand? That's right, it's the black one here. And so which is our short one, the hour hand? The red one, excellent. So if we want to tell time by the hour, what do we have to do? Do we remember the song? When the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock, say o'clock, say o'clock. When the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock all day long. So, which hand are we going to move? That's right, we're going to move the black one, our long one. And where are we going to move it to? That's right, we're going to move it to the 12. So when the long hand points to 12, we say o'clock. Now I want you to put your red little hand on the 5. So your red hand is going to be pointing to the 5 and your black hand is going to be pointing to the 12. Now can anyone tell me what time that is? That's right, it's 5 o'clock. Because when the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock, say o'clock. Say o'clock. When the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock all day long. Now, I want you to put your short hand to the 7. And can anybody tell me what time is it at now? That's right, it's 7 o'clock. Great job, senior infants. It's 7 o'clock because our long hand is pointing to the 12 and our short hand, our hour hand, is pointing to the 7. Now I want you to move your short hand again to the 10. Now, can anyone tell me what time it is? Excellent, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock because our long hand is pointing to the 12 and our short hand is pointing to the 10. So it's 10 o'clock. Excellent job, senior infants. Now, we're going to practice using what we learned here on the screen today. So, what time is it? Now remember, what do we say when we're telling the time? We say it's something o'clock. Excellent. Now, have a look at the clock here. What time is it? So, first of all, what's our rhyme? When the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock, say o'clock, say o'clock. When the long hand's on the 12, we say o'clock all day long. So now, what is our long hand pointing to, anyone? That's right, it's pointing to the 12. So we're going to say o'clock. Excellent. Now, can anyone tell me where's our shorthand pointing to? You're right, it's pointing to the 4. So what time do you think it's going to be? That's right, it's 4 o'clock. So I'm going to type in 4 and press submit. Correct, we got it right. Now, what time is it? So where is our long hand pointing to? 12. And when the long hand is on 12, we say o'clock. So where is our short hand pointing to, our hour hand? Our hour hand is pointing to the 2. So we'll put that in, 2 o'clock. Excellent. Correct again, good job, senior infants. Now, last one we'll do together. What time is it? So where is our long hand pointing to? That's right, it's pointing to 12. And when the long hand points at 12, what do we say? We say o'clock. So where's our short hand? It's at the 5. So it's 5 o'clock. Excellent. Now, I've sent you all these boom cards online. So what I want you to do for homework is you're going to go onto this, and exactly as how I did it with you, you're going to check what is your long hand pointing at, and if it's pointing at the 12, you know that you can say o'clock. And you're going to look at the shorthand and see what hour it is. So this one here, you would type in 9, because our shorthand is pointing to the 9, and our long hand is pointing to the 12. So it's 9 o'clock. Great job, senior infants.